I'm not going to take any more, though. Mrs. Ziobro's question, which is number...
Yep.
Yep.
The Commission has already actually responded to similar written questions from the honourable member, Mr. Ziobro, on the cost of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the European Union by 2020, and on the question of carbon leakage, and that was done back in March and April 2010. The EU has managed to decouple its economic growth from its emissions. EU GDP has increased by 45% since 1990, while emissions have been reduced by 13%, and that includes 2010 figures, meaning that that is sort of after we exited the crisis. And over the same period, the European Union manufacturing industry grew by more than 30%. These figures show that continued growth can go hand in hand with reducing emissions. For instance, it's actually estimated that between 2005 and 2009, 550,000 new jobs were provided by the renewable energy industry alone. Firstly, with regard to carbon leakage, the Commission would like to stress that in the latest amendment of the ETS directive, the European Parliament and the Council have decided to tackle this issue by allocating a higher share of free allowances for sectors and subsectors deemed to be at a significant risk of carbon leakage. The Commission's analysis, published back in May last year, confirmed that free allocation is an effective means to address the potential risk of carbon leakage. Moreover, the risks for carbon leakage have been reduced further, since now more than 80 countries, amongst which all emerging economies, are implementing the pledges they committed to in Copenhagen, are implementing their domestic targets. I must say that the Commission has no evidence that companies are moving their production outside the EU due to climate policy. And secondly, the European Commission has assessed in detail the cost and the benefits of CO2 emissions reductions on the European economy in the framework of the climate and energy package agreed back in 2008. More recent analysis conducted in 2010 shows that the cost of meeting the 20% greenhouse gas reduction target have fallen by at least one-third compared to the analysis made back in 2008. Now they are estimated at €48 billion, which represents 0.32% of the projected 2020 GDP. And having said that, it should also be mentioned that some of these investments will come back in, for instance, saved oil expenses. In developing the climate and energy package, the Commission has taken due account of the different circumstances in the Member States in terms of economic development, wealth and energy mix. In addition, the climate and energy package contains 3 specific mechanisms to balance overall cost across Member States so that efforts are shared in a fair and equitable manner.
Thank you. Mr. Ziobro, half a minute, if you insist.
Bardzo dziękuję, panie przewodniczący. Zechciał pan jeszcze uwzględnić to moje pytanie. Biorąc jednak pod uwagę duże opóźnienie, pozwolę się ograniczyć tylko do jednej takiej refleksji, mianowicie chętnie podzielę się z panią komisarz informacjami na temat przedsiębiorstw, które decydują się przenieść swoją produkcję poza kraje Unii Europejskiej właśnie z uwagi na ograniczenia związane z redukcją